Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, Form 2 versus Form 3, what's new and how the Form 3 has evolved since launch. I think we are going to go ahead and get started here. So for those who did not see on the registration page, we are inviting Levi Smith today. He is a 3D printing specialist from Formlabs. And there's myself, Eric Beardsley. I am with the Dynamism marketing team. A little bit about the agenda today. We're going to go over Dynamism. We're going to touch a little bit on Formlabs. And then we'll go ahead and get into the Form 2 versus the Form 3 at launch and how it's kind of improved since launch of the Form 3. That includes print speed, print quality, reliability and uptime, material library, and then we will finish it off with reducing reliance on outsourced providers. And for those of you who may have questions, we will address those at the end of the webinar. So a little bit about Dynamism for those who may not know. We're a provider of professional 3D printing solutions for enterprise, industrial, and education applications for over 20 years now. Our hardware and materials are independently tested and proven reliable. Our 3D printing specialists are brand agnostic, so when you call in, they'll really work with you to recommend the best solutions for your needs. Those solutions include Formlabs, stereolithography, material extrusion, metal printing, selective laser sintering, and then we also have a wide range of materials for each of those technologies.
Terrific.
And I was going to hand it off to you there, Levi.
Oh, perfect. Well, hey, Eric, I really appreciate that. Appreciate the introduction here. And one thing I just want to add to the Dynamism story, if you will, is, at Formlabs, we're looking at folks who can extend our user experience, but most importantly, offer a holistic approach to solving application problems. And you heard it straight from Eric's mouth. Over 20 years of experience, I think the beauty of working with some of our partners is they are a pure extension of what Formlabs brings to the table in terms of user experience, with the added value of having a holistic approach to your application problem. So whether you are working in subtractive or you're thinking about additive, they're going to have a solution for you, right? So it's all you have to do is come to Dynamism with that application problem, and you're going to have a holistic solution and approach with Dynamism. So again, it's always a pleasure working with Dynamism, always a pleasure doing these webinars together. And I'll start off just quickly with regards to what Formlabs brings to the table. And our overarching goal here at Formlabs is to expand access to digital fabrication so anyone can make anything. And that really comes down to two key questions we're constantly asking, which is how easy can we make our products to use? How much versatility, and the second question, of course, is how much versatility can we inject into those machines? And so, the first thing I always like to touch on is just a couple of stats there, right? With regards to ease of use, 44% of our customers have little to no 3D printing experience before using Formlabs. I'm not just talking folks that have FDM experience moving to SLA. I'm talking about anyone in this space thinking about 3D printing. 44% of our users have little to no 3D printing experience. And most folks are actually up and running within about 30 minutes. The second component is versatility, and that really just equates to material availability. And with Formlabs, this is something we have exponentially grown over the 8 years that we've been in business. I think we started the Form 2 with maybe 2 to 3 resins. We're now over 28 plus resins available. The range of applications, the ease of use you get with Formlabs is kind of what plays into our mission statement here. So just a quick kind of rundown on our history. We started back in 2012. We were one of the first folks to kind of bring a desktop solution to the market. Our founder, Max, wanted to bring this technology to as many people as he possibly could. And so he got into his basement, built the first initial prototype, wanted to bring this technology to a couple thousand users, put it up on Kickstarter, thought he was going to give it to a couple hundred people. Actually, we had about 3,000 backers, about $3 million in the first 30 days of that Kickstarter campaign. And that's when we really figured out that there was a huge kind of space for the professional who wants to bring this technology in-house. So that was our initial start back in 2012. 2014, we launched the Form 1 Plus, which injected more reliability, more ease of use into our products. Form 2 was a real game changer in 2015. Really allowed us to expand into a series of different market segments. We put about 40,000 of those out in the world. And then in 2019, we launched the Form 3 and the 3L Plus, which again, really exciting. People are really excited about kind of what that technology brings to the table. We'll dive into that today. And then of course, in 2019, late 2019, we launched the Form 3B, which is our pile compatible platform. So just a quick rundown, over 75,000 printers in the world, over 60 million parts. And, it's a real straightforward formula when you start thinking about 3D printing, which is cost per part. How much does it cost to make the thing that I make? And what you have in the graph here is kind of, as that cost per part has dropped with regards to the price of the machine, the price of the materials, the ease of use, you really run into a range of different applications. So if you think about the initial journey starting in 2009, additive technology was largely tied to very expensive industrial large frame machines, very expensive materials. So the range of applications were very low, very high-end prototyping applications, maybe aerospace. And as the technology has evolved, it's really run into a range of different manufacturing applications, from replacement parts to tooling. If you get a chance, take a look at what we're doing with New Balance and our collaboration around building performance shoes. There's a range of applications that really expand as that technology has evolved over the last 8 to 10 years here. So in terms of what's trending, what was once just a tool for prototyping and product development is now starting to enter the realm of manufacturing. There's two key areas of improvement: compact modular systems and materials. Materials, again, just equates to the range of applications you have access to. And just in terms of that first component about compact modular systems, we really like to use a specific analogy with regards to the, kind of where digital manufacturing is heading. And we kind of use the analogy of computing power here. So if you think about computing power back in the 1960s, it's really tied to large mainframe solutions sitting in a big warehouse. And as that technology evolved, moved to blade servers, moved to smaller devices to obviously compute. And then obviously, cloud storage just is completely evolved. And we see the same thing happening in additive, right? Where it was once just tied to large industrial machines back in the 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s, is now moving to your desktop. It's now moving to your garage. It's now something you can bring in-house. And, there's a range of benefits when you start thinking about a fleet of modular production units like a desktop printer versus just one large industrial mainframe. So redundancy, scalability, flexibility, ease of convenience. There's a range of benefits. And I think a great example of that is what we do at our print farm out of Ohio. So this print farm is something we built over 2 years. It has over 250 Form 2s that we've just transitioned over to Form 3s, 11 full-time employees, pumping out about 20,000 samples per month. And if you've ever gone to our website, you'll see, request a free sample part. These are where these are built globally. And, over that 2-year period, we didn't just start with 250 Form 2s in a room. It's something we built up to, because again, this Ohio facility is also our test bed for agile and lean manufacturing techniques. And some of the things we've been able to do with this fleet are substantial, right? In a 2-year period, we've been able to reduce the labor per part by 60% while increasing production 5-fold. So there's a range of benefits when you start thinking about a fleet of modular production units like a desktop printer versus just one large industrial machine. I want to give you guys just a quick rundown of what Formlabs is all about. Today, it's really about how has the Form 3 evolved since its initial launch. And at the end of last year, in 2019, December of 2019, we sent the survey out to everybody and asked, what do you like? What don't you like? Where can we be better? And the top 3 improvements are really what we're going to discuss today. So if you look at the top of the board here, it's obviously speed, materials, print quality. And so from when we first launched this product to where it is now is really what we're going to discuss in those top 3 there. The first one up, of course, is going to be speed. So when we first launched, it took a little bit of time to get the speed improvements that people were looking for, right? So if you had a Form 2 moving over to a Form 3, it was absolutely slower, didn't really deliver the same user experience. And so over a series of different preform and software and firmware updates, we substantially improved the speed of our machine. And these are just a couple of benchmark prints that we're constantly running in gray. Just to give you an example, we substantially improved the speed, whether it's just our standard benchmark prints to specific resins. All the resins that we offer are absolutely comparable to the Form 2. The majority of our standard resins are substantially quicker on the Form 3 than they are on the Form 2. That's a byproduct of our software team, our materials team, really dialing in specific materials with the Form 3 platform. So again, any questions on this, do not hesitate to reach out to Dynamism. Obviously, they have all the details. But again, the speed has substantially improved since the initial launch in April of last year. The second thing I wanted to talk about, of course, is the quality improvement. And this really comes down to the patented process that we now call low force stereolithography. And this is really the heart and soul of the Form 3 in the 3L platform. What it really represents is a flexible tank and linear illumination to turn liquid resin into solid parts. And this is really the substantial difference between the Form 2 and the Form 3 is the optics in the engine that we build. It's a completely redesigned process for an inverted SLA machine. And, you know, just to give you kind of just a quick rundown of kind of how it works, you know, you have your laser module, which we now call the light processing unit or the LPU. It's a modular unit working linearly to build a layer by layer process. And of course, you have a flexible tank, which is completely different from the Form 2, which was more of a rigid tank with a silicone base in it. This tank has substantially improved peel force. And I think that's the key difference between the Form 3 and the Form 2 is peel force. So when you think about building a part layer by layer, when you're able to substantially reduce that peel force, you're able to get a tremendous amount of complexity built. You're able to get better finished parts, more optically clear parts. There's a range of benefits that we're going to dig into. But I think the key stat there is we've reduced the peel force by roughly tenfold from the Form 2 versus the Form 3. And just to give you an idea in terms of the complexity, if anyone's ever built something on the Form 2, we have a certain set of design guidelines set up based on what we consider successful printing. And we substantially improved the complexity in the design guidelines, Form 2 versus Form 3, by roughly 50%. If you think about minimum supported wall thickness to minimum unsupported overhang angle, what you can get away with on the Form 3 and how complex you can build something is a substantial improvement from the Form 2. It's all based on our low force stereolithography and that new process that we patented here at Formlabs. And a great example of that is some of the work that Eamon's doing with some of the parts that he built. So this is a very complex breastplate and just really didn't have any success with it. Really couldn't do 3D printing, really couldn't build this with a 3D printer. He originally had our Form 2, right? And he started at 100 microns, tried to build the part, wasn't successful, built it at 50, built it at 25 microns, still didn't have any success. He was using the Form 2 for a range of applications, so obviously he was still getting a lot of work out of it, but couldn't have a successful print. So again, moved over to the Form 3. First print was at 100 microns. Again, you can see the level of detail, the surface finish. At 100 microns on the Form 3, he was able to successfully print this part versus what he was not able to do on the Form 2 at 25 microns. So you can actually see he's actually taking advantage of some of the additional improvements of LFS, which is, as you can see here, light touch supports, which makes post-processing substantially quicker and a better experience. So just to give you one example there, LFS has also opened up the range of applications available with the traditional resins that you're used to printing. So when you think about prototyping, if anyone's ever had a Form 2 printed or clear resin, obviously they're going to get a clear finish, but not a 100% clear, optically clear part. You know, it's going to come out a little bit frosty because, again, layer by layer, there's a lot more peel force, so it's a lot less optically clear. When you're able to eliminate that peel force, you're able to do things like light piping, and the optical clarity in healthcare applications, microfluidic applications, it exponentially changes. You can see some of those parts on the left here in terms of that optical clear finish. Lexicon Design does a lot of design work for small electronics companies. They work a lot with LED fixtures, a lot of light piping, and essentially they bought it clearly for the ability to do light piping, prototyping applications, just to give you an example of one of the new applications available based on the Form 3 technology there. The last part I want to touch on, you kind of saw this with Eamon's part earlier, is the ability to eliminate a lot of the support and post-processing associated with the Form 3 platform. So, you know, if you think about when you build a part on the Form 2, there's a lot of peel force, and so you have to build a lot of support structure around it to make sure you have a successful print. Well, when you reduce that peel force, you have to spend a lot less time putting support structures in place. And most importantly, you can really dial in the touch point in the support density of each of those supports that you build. And what it really equates to is a lot less post-processing, right? Here you have an example of easy support removal. We really dialed in the touch points in the support density, and essentially that part pops right off with the same finish, not a lot of post-processing necessary. So I did want to touch on that as just a second component with regards to quality improvement. The third, of course, is the reliability, the uptime of the Form 3. We wanted to build a modular machine that was built for uptime. And I think the key distinction here, again, we have over 20 plus different sensors in this machine, from, detecting failures in the tank itself to robust resin level sensing. There's a range of different sensors that we built into this machine. I think the key distinction, though, in terms of uptime, though, is our modular light processing unit, or LPU, which you see on the screen there. The LPU is really the heart and soul of the Formlabs product, and essentially it's where all the optics are contained. And in the past, if you had a Form 2 that had laser degradation or needed to be RMA'd, essentially what you had to do is put it in a box, ship it off to us so we could recalibrate it. About a 2-week process, and it was a real sticking point for customers who are in the middle of a design sprint, a production cycle. Essentially, people lost a lot of time in those specific scenarios. So we want to improve that substantially, and that's what the LPU represents, is a user replaceable RMA, if you will, where you're able to replace this LPU on your own. So if you're having issues with the parts finish, or its ability to print successfully, maybe you're having a little optical degradation, we're able to ship out this LPU. It's about a 5-minute changeover in terms of screwing the LPU in place, and then you're off and running. So it really substantially improves uptime and your ability to have a reliable machine at all times with whatever you might be doing. So those are the 3 key distinctions with the Form 3 and how it's evolved from 2019 to where it is now, where it stands compared to the Form 2, which has really kind of been the the main product that people kind of associate the Formlabs. The Form 3 is a substantial improvement on the Form 2 technology. I want to kind of finish with just a couple of examples, but before I get into that, the last component here, of course, is going to be how our materials have evolved with the Form 3 platform. And I think this is a key distinction. When I talk about R&D with Formlabs, obviously we're very R&D focused, very R&D heavy, but there's 3 groups of research and development. The first, of course, are the MEs building the new printers from the Form 2 to the Form 3. You have our preformer software team building the newest version of our preformer slicing software. The real rock stars of Formlabs, of course, is our materials team. And we build all our materials in-house. When we launched the Form 2, I believe we had 4 resins. We now have close to 30. And what the Form 3 really brings to the table is a range of different materials that we were never successful with on the Form 2, right? So if you think about the last 3 years or how we actually build a material, somebody comes to the table and says, okay, we're gonna work on static discharge. We build a material, it then has to go and be wildly successful on the Form 2, right? So we have to have a 95, 96% success rate before it actually moves to the second stage of production. And we had a range of materials like that, right? Where we said, okay, this is a great material, but we can't get it successful in the Form 2. The Form 3 and its ability to eliminate a lot of peel force has substantially opened up the range of materials we have, whether it's more viscous, more filled. I just want to give you guys a quick snapshot on some of the materials we've developed. Tough 2000, Tough 1500 are brand new on the Form 3 platform, but there's a range of materials that we've actually been tinkering with over the last 3 to 4 years that we're now really going to launch on the Form 3 platform. So range of different materials in terms of your applications out there. You can just see a range of those right there. Some of the newest resins that we just launched at the beginning of this year, Tough 2000, Tough 1500, to go along with our tough and durable resin family. Durable's been around for quite some time. Tough 1500 is our truest polypropylene material. And again, gives you as close to a 1-to-1 with a polypropylene as you can possibly get. Our Tough 2000 was a byproduct of some of the feedback we got with our Tough V5. A lot of people like working with our Tough resin. They like the color, they like the strength. The biggest detractor from Tough V5 was its brittleness. And with Tough 2000 and the Form 3 platform, we've actually been able to take 2 competing material attributes and improve both of them, right? So if you think about Tough 2000, not only is it stronger than Tough V5, but it's actually less brittle than Tough V5, which is very difficult to do when you talk about competing material attributes. So these are just 2 of the newest resins we've launched. We actually, June 30th of this last month, we just launched 9 new resins. The newest one, of course, is our flexible 80A, which is our truest rubber material out there. Again, it's clear. It's great for some optically clear prototyping parts, but it's our truest rubber material out there. Elastic, again, it's just a rebrand. We renamed the Elastic 50A, but just to give you a feel of what we kind of what we're planning to do. And if we think about the materials we launched on the Form 2 platform, again, 20 plus resins, we're going to more than double that on the Form 3 platform with the range of applications available with low force stereolithography. We just launched our Biomed Clear and a Biomed Amber resins for the healthcare space. So these are our resins that are going to be very useful with regards to any applications that need to interact with skin, or any healthcare related applications. Each one of these is classified to sit on the skin for more than 30 plus days. Again, the Biomed Amber and the Biomed Clear we developed in-house, so those are all Formlabs specific resins. They're not white labeled, but again, just a range of different applications, different materials that we have available here. And just a couple of case studies I want to go over real quick with you guys. The first one up is Ashley Furniture. Ashley Furniture is the largest case goods manufacturer in the world. I think they're pumping out 200,000 to 300,000 pieces of furniture every month out of their Arcadia facility. And we get these examples all the time. They want to take a specific application, see if 3D printing might fit that need. And so for them, it was alignment pins. They wanted to see if they could get away from their job shop, having to outsource and do subtractive to get these alignment pins. And for us, it's a real slam dunk. So we're able to get these alignment pins printed on our printers. And originally they were thinking maybe 3 months in terms of lifespan. What they found out was they actually had threefold that. They were getting 9 months of lifespan out of each one of those alignment pins. And that's when their engineers got together and said, what else can we do with these printers? What you see on the left there is a universal changeover station that's actually color coded based on specific resins. You can see a little bit of gray, clear, I think our durables in there, so is our tough. But essentially, they built a universal changeover station based on specific replacement parts built with the Formlabs printer. And again, it's substantially improved the changeover speed. It went from about 2 hours to about 30 minutes. Anybody brand new to that changeover station is able to absorb the input and essentially learn how to change over pretty quickly within about a day. So they've been able to do a lot of work with these machines. They got roughly 4 or 5 machines in-house printing 24/7, a lot of replacement parts on their production line. The other really exciting example, of course, is some of the work that we've done in partnership with Northwell Health and USF. But with some of our biocompatible resins, just due to the COVID-19 situation that we're in, or the post-COVID world that we live in, we want to really put our hat into the PPE realm. And we actually produced, in partnership with Northwell and USF, a specifically patented medical device, or a MP swab, if you will, a naropharyngeal swab. We're actually printing these in partnership with them. But just in terms of the range of application, I think what's really cool about this example here for us is when you think about being able to change over and move to specific products with specific printers, the 100,000 swabs a day is a byproduct of our print farm that we talked about at the beginning of this show. We're actually able to transition all those machines over to printing swabs for PPE and the healthcare system here in the US. So just in terms of what a modular fleet of production units can get accomplished, here's a great example. And again, it's a biocompatible class 1 device we're able to create with our Formlabs machines. So I guess with that said, last place I want to really kind of finish with here is, everything that we discussed today is all based on the Formlabs platform, from the essentially the ecosystem you see in front of you, from the materials to the preform software, to the Form 3, the 3B, to our post-processing Form Wash and Form Cure. And just a quick kind of rundown of what the Form 3B, 3B, or the Form 3, 3B bring to the table. Great part quality, easy post-processing, range of applications and materials available with one machine. And again, very easy to transition from one material to the next. You also have the ability to do remote printing. And of course, a modular machine that's very easily, it's very easy to replace parts on it. So just to give you a quick rundown there. And the last place I want to kind of finish with is just our Form Wash or Form Cure, our post-processing solutions, or our automated post-processing solutions. Both of these very much fit well within, kind of a workspace that you're comfortable with. You don't have to expand too much, But the Form Wash is going to offer an automated part cleaning system. So anyone that's new to SLA, each SLA part needs a IPA alcohol bath to wash off the residual resin before you cure it. And the Form Wash absolutely does that. It's got an impeller at the bottom that agitates alcohol around the part. So once you pull it off the Form Wash, it's ready to go for the Form Cure. And the Form Cure is going to deliver a uniform cure across the entirety of the part that you're curing there. So again, it's an automated post-processing, whether it's Form Wash, the Form Cure, and again, it's a complete ecosystem we offer over here at Formlabs. So I guess with that said, I've been running through this. I want to pass it right back over to Eric.
Yeah, thanks. That was really in depth in terms of the Form 3 and kind of all the great applications. For those of you who may have joined late, I just wanted to send out a reminder that we're going to be posting a recording of this webinar after this. So in case you missed anything, you will still be able to access it. And then just to touch a little bit more on Dynamism, as I said, we're a professional provider of 3D printers for over 20 years now. Our main goal is to make sure that you're successful in implementation of 3D printing. So this means that we test all of our hardware. We are able to do sample prints for you. And then after the purchase, we're able to help kind of give you a white glove service in terms of support and even installation if needed. Here's how to get a hold of us if you need. We also have 4 national showrooms, and with COVID and kind of people not traveling so much, we have a new virtual showroom. We actually can drive around a little bit. It's a robot on wheels, and you can drive it around our showroom, talk to our 3D printing specialists, see demos and much more. And yeah, so I think we do have a few questions for you, Levi.
Awesome.
So the slicing software that you guys offer, what types of tools does it have to optimize the build platform and just kind of make sure that you have a successful print?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question, Eric. And just before I dive into that, super cool on the virtual showroom. I didn't even know you guys had that robot. I'm gonna go online and check that out because that's super cool. I definitely recommend that. That's essentially the first partner I know of in our ecosystem that's doing that. So definitely take advantage of it. But just in terms of the preform slicing software, when we talk about ease of use at Formlabs, we want that to be a part of every aspect of our ecosystem, from the materials to the printer to the post-processing. Preform is absolutely part of that. So the range of tools you have access to, the first one right off the bat is the one-click print, right? So if you have a part, you drop it into Preform, you can hit one-click print. Essentially, it's going to calculate your part, what's the optimal layout on the build platform, what type of support structure you need, and get it loaded up to the machine immediately. So the second it's into Preform, boom, you hit one-click print, you're off and running, it's getting loaded up to your machine. So that's just one of the tools that people use. You have auto layout tools associated to multiple prints in the same build. You have the, essentially, you have a lot of algorithms that are dialing in specific support structure. It's going to allow you to see, it's going to shade specific parts within Preform if they think it's unsupported or if they don't think it's going to be successful. You have a lot of ability to really dial that in. So you have the ability to work on touch point size and really dial that back as far as you want to go. You can do that with support density. There's a range of different tools you'll have access to, and a lot of auto layout, auto generate, auto support generate, and auto print tools that are available, really kind of speaking towards the ease of use that Formlabs is all about.
Okay, the next question here, and I'm really excited for this one. So I know that a lot of people, some of the hesitation in terms of getting a Form 3 is the build volume. So someone wanted to know about the 3L and how that's progressing, and if we will be seeing it soon enough. And maybe just a little touch on what the 3L is.
Yeah, great point, and absolutely great question there, Eric. So, right before I kind of touch on where the Form 3L sits, and again, we got a really good story to tell there. This has been a constant detractor for us for the last 5 years, which is, hey, love the Form 2, reliable, lots of success, not big enough. I can't move forward with you guys, right? That's been a constant conversation we've had for the last 5 years. And so we knew that if we wanted to build a bigger machine that delivered bigger SLA style parts, we needed to build a brand new process. So LFS, low force stereolithography, is the gate or the door to building what the Form 3L represents, which is essentially a machine that's going to cover 80% of all large SLA service bureau needs out there. We had to build something that delivered less peel force before we could build bigger. And so, the beauty of that is we've had a year to really dial in LFS with the Form 3, and everything's right in line to be launched here and start shipping essentially this year in Q3. So we're pretty close to starting to ship the Form 3L. And again, really excited to get this technology out there. A lot of folks out there, if anyone's ever outsourced a large SLA part, they know exactly how expensive and how much time it's going to take to get that. This is a technology that, you're going to get the same ROI you get on the Form 2 or the Form 3. It's essentially within 4 to 6 builds, you're going to have your full ROI on a $10,000 machine. So really excited. It's going to start shipping this quarter.
And what's the build volume on that?
Oh man, I had the stats in front of me, Eric. Here's the anecdote I can give you. It's 5 times the build volume of the Form 3. So that's roughly the size of the Form 3. It's about 5 times the size of the build envelope of the Form 3.
Okay, perfect. And one last question for you. So yeah, you touched on a lot of materials there. Do you have any insight that you can share on materials that are in the pipeline?
Oh man, I'd love to express kind of where we're going with this, but here's the deal. With the Form 3, we're going to double the materials that we have available from the LFS platform we have now to what the Form 2 was. We're going to more than double. And so think more viscous materials, think more filled materials, think of a better version of our ceramic further down the line. What you can get away with on the Form 3 really speaks to what we're going to build. And so, if you think about a better rigid material, a more flexible material, there's so many different materials that we're going to actually be able to build. So I think this is a question for anyone out there, an open-ended question, right? If you've been working with the Form 2 or the Form 3, and in terms of your current workflows, what you build, if you can think of a rock star resin that doesn't exist yet, speak to Dynamism. Ask, let them know what you're looking for in terms of material attributes, in terms of materials, because again, that's the feedback I get directly from Dynamism. I feed right over to our materials team. We'd love to get your feedback there, because again, I think we got some really, really good resins. I know it's going to be better. I know it can be better. So that feedback's huge to us. Let us know what you see, what you think would be best for the future. But again, we're going to double our material library, and I can't get into too much detail, but again, it's really exciting in terms of what the material development looks like for Formlabs.